Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Retirement Planning TV. I'm Dan Roberts, the publisher of The Vegas Voice, and I have the great pleasure of introducing the host, the man who knows everything there is to know on wealth advisors, and that is Todd Bauman.
Thank you, Dan.
I thank you so much for being here, Todd, and for putting up with me. And I would like to discuss something that we haven't done initially, which is really managing estate planning. And that is something that is obviously so important to our readers, our seniors, and everyone else out there. And it's such a huge topic. I don't know where to begin or in the middle or the end. So I'm just going to throw it on you and say, Todd, I need my estate planning covered. Go.
I'm glad that we're talking about this, Dan, because this is one of my favorite subjects. And this is one of the biggest problems that we see when we meet with people. Yeah. Like, it's almost everybody's problem is their estate planning has an error in it, or two or three. Right. And so I think the two biggest problems that we're seeing in the estate planning arena is your documents are not correct or up to date, right? And then your estate planning is not set up correctly. So what I mean by that is, number one is you should have a revocable living trust for the most part. Most people should have a revocable living trust. Even if you own a home, you want to have a living trust.
Right.
Okay. So Dan, you also want to have a last will and testament. You never want to use the last will and testament, right?
Yeah, yep.
But you need to have it. It's going to act as a safety net, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason why you have that is you want assets to go in your trust, right? But just in case this asset right here was not in your trust, but should have been put in your trust, your will catch that and put it in your trust to be given to your beneficiary. So if you do your job correctly, you'll never use the pour-over will, but you need to have it just in case.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a financial power of attorney because some assets don't go in the trust like your IRAs, 401ks, right, things like that. Those must be owned by people and it must be in your individual name, right? And so should you become incapacitated, coma, Alzheimer's, whatever, right?
Like the guardianship that we were involved in.
Like the guardianship. You need a financial power of attorney that appoints somebody to manage your 401k, your IRA, because you're out of it. You can't do it yourself. You also need a healthcare power of attorney, and it should have the HIPAA language in it, right? And the healthcare power of attorney says, pull the plug, don't pull the plug, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you have these estate planning documents from out of state, more than likely they're valid here, but your healthcare power of attorney should be updated to Nevada, right? And so we're seeing that problem a lot is people will have out-of-state documents and their healthcare power of attorney might be Colorado or Florida or wherever, right? And so that should be updated. But more importantly, your trust should be reviewed because whoever you put in there may not who you want to be in there today, right? And so you should look at those every couple of years and make sure you're happy with everyone and you still love them.
Well, yeah, that's a big thing. And more importantly, as you get older, as things happen, different events occur. And, I'm not concerned about dying right now, but, 8-9 years from now, wait a minute, I'm coughing a lot more.
Yeah.
And like you said, updating the documents, which sounds so easy, it really is a pain only because it's in legalese and it's not in something that you read like in the comic strip or something like that. Is there something that we can, what should be done by bringing it to you? Or how do you go over it? What do you do?
So, Dan, we offer complimentary consultations where we have clients bring in their estate planning documents and we'll go through it with them and make sure everything's up to speed, and everything looks good. And we review it with the client. Here's your backup trustee. One of the other problems we see is I just had this happen last week, is this client had the trust done by an attorney here in Vegas.
Yeah, go ahead.
And they only had one successor trustee. And we always recommend having two.
Yeah. So
either two number ones or a number one and a number two, because what if that number one dies or doesn't want to do it? Now you have nobody.
Wait, you know what? I'm going to throw something out in which one of our Vegas Voice columnists had the problem with. That person went to an attorney to have a trust document, have a trust put together. And it ended up that the lawyer put himself as the trustee. And we laugh and we say, whoa. Why did you do that? And again, the columnist said, I didn't do that. Well, what do you mean you didn't do it? It's right there. Oh, I didn't read that. I just signed it. There's a trust factor with the trustee and with your trust that there's no price tag on it, but it's so important. Talk a little bit about that because
Yeah.
that's frightening.
I've seen that many times. There's somebody in town who puts themselves in there and it says the successor trustee must consult with that attorney. And then that attorney is going to charge fees to do that. And so that's just crazy. You don't need that language in there.
But it's out there. It is something where that I am sure if people who are watching this, they're going to say, wait a minute, I think I did that. Or who is that guy? I don't know who that attorney is.
Yeah.
anymore.
So when we go through your docs, we'll look for all that stuff, Dan, and then we will review it with you. So, hey, Dan, here's your successor trustee. Here's your second successor trustee. Are you happy with them? Do you want them in place? What we don't do, Dan, is you don't cross out so-and-so and initial and date and write someone else's name in there. You need to do an official amendment to your trust. So don't cross out the document and fix it yourself. Do an amendment. We can do that for you. We have the team in place who can prepare all those documents for you and make sure that you're all up to speed.
So with that in mind, at the very least, people watching this, seniors, the Sun City community residents, they should have a set amount of documents, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. What are they? Because if they don't have it, they're in trouble.
Yeah. So you want to have the trust,
right?
For sure. You want to have a pour-over will as a backup to the trust. Hope to never use it, but you need to have it anyway. You should have a financial power of attorney, a healthcare power of attorney, right? And then we also do other documents as well, like burial instructions, the guardianship forms. And so those are your base. So those documents is like your basket.
Yeah.
So when you do those documents, you've created a basket. And so that needs to be up to speed first. And then the second biggest problem we see when we meet with people is some of these eggs are not in the basket.
How would they even know if the eggs are in the basket or not? I mean,
well, we go through that process with you.
We do, yeah.
And so Dan, do you have a house? Yes, I do. And then we look up the ownership. Do you have a brokerage account? Yes. How is it titled? We have you bring in your statements so we can confirm ownership. I had a meeting like 7-8 years ago. The guy was from Beverly Hills, had this trust. It was like
a beautiful trust.
I'm like, man, he was so proud. Paid $3,500 for it. I'm like, it was heavy. I said, I think you bought it by the pound. Made a joke out of it. And after we were done, I said, hey man, you got a problem. He goes, what's that? I'm like, you're going through probate. He goes, no, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, you are. I'll quit if I'm wrong. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, nothing's in your trust. He goes, oh no, it's in the trust. So he opens up the binder and he takes out this sheet of paper and he wrote down all of his assets on the sheet of paper and it was in his binder. And he goes, here they are. And I'm like, no. I said, your broker statements at Merrill, Schwab, Fidelity, Bank of America, they all say joint tenants. You and your wife own them together. They're not in the name of your trust. He goes, well, when we left the law firm, they said we were all set. And I'm like, well, you signed everything. Awesome. Good for you. But nothing's in the trust. You have to retitle all of these investments in the name of your trust. And they didn't do that for him. And they didn't tell him to do that. So he had not one thing in the name of his trust. So he passes. They're going to go through probate. And isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. And yet, if you say to the guy, how can you be so stupid? He's going to say, well, look, I got this beautiful trust document. And I mean, at the very least, everyone should at least double check to see what's in there and what's not. And because the world has changed in a couple of years.
Thank goodness he came in for our complimentary consultation and we identified that because not only did he have all of these assets that were not in the trust that should have gone through that. It was $1.2 million that should have been retitled in the name of his trust. That wasn't. He had $800,000 of IRAs with only a primary beneficiary.
Oh, that's a mess. I mean, the potential for danger is significant.
And these are I won't mention the names, but these are the big firms that set these IRAs up for him. So should he die first, his wife gets it, no problem, awesome. But should she die 3 days later or however long?
In a car accident or get hit.
Car accident, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no primary because he's gone. Now it's going to go through probate. So the entire estate was going to be subject to probate at some point in time.
And
it's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. It's correct.
It's crazy.
In the limited time we have left, if people want to get a hold of you, Todd, they want to get a hold of Bauman Wealth Advisors to speak to people, what do they do?
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy. Just give us a call and we'll set up a complimentary consultation. It usually takes about an hour. Bring all your stuff in. We look over it all for you. If you're all set, we tell you. If you're not, we tell you. We put it all back in your court. Do whatever you want, Dan. But it's real easy. Just give us a call at 702-897-9997. That number, once again, is 702-897-9997. We have 3 offices in town. We have Summerlin, Henderson, and a Mesquite office to conveniently meet with you at.
Can't do better than that. With these segments, we're just touching the surface of everything that goes on. So we're going to have you back on again, if you don't mind. And I thank you for sitting in and putting up with me, because I'll tell you this. I mean, if I didn't go to you and trust you, believe me, you wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Thank you.
So I thank you. And this is Dan Roberts for Retirement Planning TV saying, we'll see you again next time.